Hey Bethlehem, welcome to session number 1 of Living Life Together. In this small group series, we're going to examine the importance of being a Christian community, what that looks like and what that requires. Love is one of those things that we all want. Everyone wants to be loved. Nobody wants to be on the outside. We want to belong. We want to be accepted. We don't want to be on the outside looking in. But on the other hand, love is one of those things that we sometimes have a hard time giving away. And many times this has nothing to do with maliciousness or hatred. It's just we're tired and we're busy and it's hard to carve out time for other people. Other times, personality-wise, we just don't get along. We just don't enjoy spending time with that other person. And then there are those times when we just have difficulty relating to them. Their interests, their passions, are just totally different than ours. And for those reasons, we justify not loving them, helping them, serving them in some way. And yet, if we're going to be the people that God created us to be, if we're going to be a true Christian community, we need to love. John in 1 John chapter 2, verse 6 wrote, "Those who say they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did." We should live our lives as Jesus did. This is the expectation for those who love God, for those who follow Jesus. We are to live like Jesus lived. And how did Jesus live? He lived a life of love. On the night that he was betrayed, Jesus was in the upper room with his disciples. And he is giving them some last minute teachings. These are things that most likely Jesus has taught his entire ministry, but he really wants his disciples, his followers, to get them. So he comes back to them and one last time for them to truly understand and to get. And in the midst of this, he challenges his disciples to love. John chapter 15, starting with verse 9. "I have loved you, even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. When you obey my commandments, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you slaves, but because a master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends, since I have told you everything the Father told me. You didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. This is my command, love each other." Jesus says here to love as I have loved you. Now remember, at this point, Jesus hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been beaten. He hasn't been crucified. And so what Jesus is asking his disciples, at least at this point, is to love as you have seen me love. And how has Jesus loved? Well, he has eaten with unworthy people. People that the religious leaders have said, hey, those people are outsiders. You're not supposed to do anything with them. And Jesus eats with them and he extends them the hand of fellowship. He has sacrificed his reputation to lift them up. He has served when it was inconvenient. When he was tired, he ministered and he healed and he taught. Jesus, even before he laid down his life, sacrificed to show his love, the Father's love, to the people around him. And so for us, if we are going to love, if we're going to be in a Christian community, we have to lay down our lives. We have to sacrifice and show our love to those around us. That is the way Jesus lived. And that's the way that he wants us to live. And so the question, the overriding question I want you to think about in this session this week is, how can I love like Jesus loved? What does that mean for me to love like Jesus? Have a good time discussing. I hope that you encourage one another. And we'll talk again next week.